14 days of, well, till Election Day, and the polls show Trump and Clinton in a virtual dead heat. The latest IBD tracking poll, Clinton up 1, leading Trump 42-41. Trump and Clinton neck and neck in the LA Times USC poll. Clinton leading again by only 1 point, 45-44. The polls remain tight despite a new Media Research Center study that shows over the past 12 weeks, media coverage of Trump has been 91% negative. Let me repeat, for just about 3 months, media coverage 91% negative. Networks also spent 440 minutes covering Trump controversies, nearly 2.5 times the 185 minutes spent covering Clinton controversies. Joining me now to sort it all out, Trump surrogate, former Apprentice contestant, Katrina Campins. Good to have you with us.
Thank you.
And townhall.com political editor, Fox News contributor Guy Benson. Katrina, with that onslaught against him, he's not doing bad to be in a virtual tie.
Absolutely. And, you know, having known him for over a decade now, I know he's a fighter and he does not lose. He doesn't like to lose. So I have a feeling that this just ignites his passion to be able to help the American people get their country back.
Guy, I know that you've been somewhat reserved about Mr. Trump's candidacy, but you have to be impressed that after that barrage, spending 2-3 times as much on negative ads, I mean, it's remarkable where he is.
Yeah, the onslaught has been very intense. The media is, I think, uniquely biased against Trump. They're always biased against a Republican. They really hate Donald Trump. And
they
the pivot, well, the pivot that they made was they were pretty accommodating during the primary, and once he got the nomination, it was just a pile-on. So when you talk about polling, I think there are 3 clusters of polls that we're looking at nationally. There are the dead heat polls that you rehearsed at the beginning of the segment. There are the outliers at the other end, Hillary up 11 or 12
points.
Well,
let's put names on those. They're
sure.
Washington Post, they're ABC News. They are some of the most, of all of the nasty bias that we're seeing, those news organizations represented in immense dimension.
Sure, and then there's the sort of the middle cluster where our Fox News polling has it 5-6 points, somewhere like that. So you can sort of pick your poll cluster. The Hillary people say, look, she's up double digits. The Trump people say it's a tie. And the Fox News polling shows it's mid-single digits.
Yeah, and talking with Ed Rollins, who's gone through a few of these presidential campaigns, he says he thinks, senses that it's about 2%, maybe 3% between them, with 2 weeks to go with the momentum. I want to get to this WikiLeaks issue. If we did not have WikiLeaks, and I want to explore this a bit, if we didn't have WikiLeaks, we would not know so much about the perfidy of this campaign and the people who are running it. It looks to me like they're the principal news organization honoring the public's right to know.
And thank God for them, because we've been able to see the corruption and really how deep it is, and especially what came out today with regard to the fact that Obama actually knew about this email server all along, even though he told the American people that he found out about it when we did. So I think you're beginning to see the corruption and really how deep it goes, which Trump has said from the very beginning.
From the beginning, and WikiLeaks, and I love the response of the Clinton campaign. You know, yes, all this happened, but, you know, really, the Russians stole all of this truth and shouldn't be sharing it with you. The truth has an owner, apparently.
Yeah, so they're trying to make the argument, and I think if the roles were reversed, Republicans would be doing the same thing. Oh, Putin's trying to influence the election. And it does trouble me a little bit. That doesn't make the revelation in these emails any less interesting or newsworthy. And I would also point out the news media had no problem. Mark Thiessen made this point in the Washington Post yesterday. They had no problem reporting on WikiLeaks when it was damaging to U.S. national security. No one had a problem with that leaked tax document from Donald Trump that went all over the place. They were fine with that. But this, oh, we ought not talk about this.
And the point being that right now, this terribly biased national left-wing news media of ours is not honoring the public's right to know. They're not honoring their traditional role as the fourth estate, that is, watchdogs, objective and independent of the political currents, you know, of the nation. They are now full-on actors aligned with a candidate, as you put it, as never ever before.
And I would say this one point, Lou, because you put up the graphic earlier about the number of minutes spent by these networks covering these controversies. I think Donald Trump earned a lot of that negative coverage, frankly. But the fact that it was so imbalanced and it was so heavy in his direction, Hillary Clinton's scandals involve national security, endangering national security, and renting out U.S. foreign policy. That is serious stuff, and there is no explanation for that degree of imbalance other than bias.
Exactly. Guy Benson, good to have you here. Katrina Campins, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.